Vivid verses.
74,000. That's for the cabinetry and the wolf range alone. The labor on the structural changes to the load-bearing wall puts us over six figures. Miller tapped his pen against the clipboard, the sound dry and rhythmic, like a beetle hitting glass. He smelled of sawdust and stale coffee, a stark, gritty contrast to the sterile scent of lemon cleaner Diane insisted on using. The estimate sat on the granite island, a single sheet of paper weighing more than the car in the driveway. The kitchen was already functional. The appliances were 5 years old, stainless steel, smudge-free. The granite was cool to the touch, a dark galaxy pattern that had been must-have just 48 months ago. Diane stood by the sink, tracing the rim of a Riedel wine glass. She didn't look at Miller. Her eyes were fixed on me, wide and dilated, performing the silent calculation she always did. She wore the cashmere sweater from Christmas, a $400 expenditure that had earned a single, distinct night of affection before being relegated to the back of the closet. "We're not doing the wall," I said, "and the range stays." Miller capped his pen. He knew the dynamic. He'd seen it in 100 houses in this zip code. "All right, if you change your mind on the layout, the quote is good for 30 days. Material costs are fluctuating with the supply chain issues in the Pacific shipment lanes. Lumber price guarantees expire at the end of the month. We won't need it." Diane set the glass down. Hard. The crystal rang against the stone, a sharp, singing note that hung in the air long after the impact. "It's outdated, Caleb. The layout makes it impossible to host. The flow is wrong. When the Sullivans come over, everyone is crammed in the hallway. We hosted Thanksgiving for 12 people in November. It worked. The turkey cooked. The people ate. The flow was sufficient." She turned her back, opening the fridge. The light inside cast a pale blue glow on her face, illuminating the tightness in her jaw. "Fine. Whatever you say, Caleb. It's your money. Our money. Joint checking. The operational account. Doesn't feel like it." She pulled out a bottle of San Pellegrino. The cap hissed as she twisted it. "I'm going to bed. My head is pounding." It started the moment we began talking about the budget. She walked past, the scent of her vanilla perfume, Tom Ford, 300 a bottle, lingering in her wake. The stairs creaked under her weight, followed by the definitive thud of the bedroom door. The kitchen remained. The refrigerator hummed, a low-frequency vibration palpable through the soles of my shoes. The Bank of America app on the phone screen glowed in the dim light. The bonus was there, pending transfer. The kitchen stood perfectly usable, perfectly paid for. The switch clicked, plunging the room into darkness. My study was the only room in the house Diane hadn't redecorated. It smelled of old paper and leather. The desk, a heavy oak piece inherited from a grandfather who didn't believe in debt, held the computer. The dual monitors flickered to life. Netflix didn't open. Excel did. The file was named Asset Allocation Household. A new tab was created, labeled Correlations. Credit card statements for the last 24 months were exported. The calendar was pulled up. Dates were cross-referenced. Row 4, March 15th, St. Lucia trip booked. Cost, $8,400. Result, March 20th to March 27th. Frequency of intimacy, daily. Enthusiasm level, high. Row 12, June 4th, diamond tennis bracelet purchased. Cost, $4,200. Result, June 4th to June 7th. Frequency, 3 times. Note, initiated by Diane. Row 28, September 10th. Refusal to lease the new Land Rover Defender. Current vehicle, 2021 Audi Q7, 32,000 miles. Result, September 10th to September 29th. Frequency, 0. Reasons given, tired, stomach ache, stressed about work. You're being distant. A regression analysis ran on the data. The correlation coefficient was 0.92. It wasn't a marriage. It was a service provider agreement with a variable pricing model. The realization didn't hurt. It clarified. Like finding the source of an engine knock, anger at the piston is useless. One simply assesses the damage and determines if the repair cost exceeds the asset value. The laptop closed with a soft snap. The house was quiet. 11:15 p.m. The heating vent rattled slightly. The filter needed changing. Upstairs, the master bedroom door remained closed. Faint blue light from the television leaked from underneath. She wasn't sleeping. She was waiting for the door to open, for a weight to settle on the edge of the bed, for an apology. Waiting for the phrase, "Maybe we can do the cabinets." Then, and only then, would the headache subside. The door remained shut. The guest room down the hall beckoned. The air inside was stale and used. The bed was made tight, the sheets cold and smelling of dust and fabric softener. Stripping down to boxers happened in the dark. The mattress was firm, distinct. 10 minutes passed staring at the ceiling, calculating the compound interest on $74,000 over 20 years at a conservative 6%. Sleep came. 6 hours. Dreamless. Morning arrived gray and wet. The coffee pot was empty. Diane usually made a pot, part of the unspoken morning contract. She ground the beans. The trash went out to the curb. The French press was the alternative. Water boiled with a rising shriek. The dark foam rose over the grounds. Coffee was consumed standing over the sink, grounds rinsed immediately. When Diane came down, she wore the gray silk robe, the peace offering, the truce flag. She poured a glass of water and leaned against the counter, crossing her ankles. "Did you sleep in the guest room?" "Yes." "Why?" "Snoring. Didn't want to keep you up with your headache." She watched, taking a sip of water. "My head is better this morning." "Good." "I was thinking," she said, her voice dropping an octave, softening. "Maybe we don't need the whole structural change." Miller said just the cabinets, and the range would be around 40. She took a step forward. A hand reached out, brushing a piece of lint off the lapel of the suit jacket. Fingers lingered on the chest. "I have to get to the office." Closing the quarter. "I'll be late tonight." A step back broke the contact. Her hand fell to her side. "Caleb, don't be like this." "Like what?" "I'm going to work." "You're being cold." "I'm being efficient." "We saved $74,000 last night." "That's a good day." The briefcase handle felt solid in the grip. No kiss on the cheek was offered. The garage door rolled up, revealing the gray morning drizzle of Seattle. The concrete was stained with oil near the drain. The Audi's leather was cold. The rearview mirror showed the house window, empty. Work was a relief. The office was a landscape of binary outcomes. The firm handled distressed assets. Companies that had over-leveraged, expanded too quickly, or ignored market signals. My job was to look at the balance sheet and tell the board of directors which limbs to amputate to save the patient. The logistics division is bleeding, I told the partners at the 10 a.m. meeting. They have 40 trucks on lease they don't use. Break the leases. Take the penalty. It's cheaper than the depreciation. The union will push back, the senior partner said. The math doesn't care about the union. If you keep the trucks, you're insolvent by Q3. They authorized the cuts. It was simple. Inputs, outputs, survival. Lunch was a turkey sandwich at the desk. The phone buzzed at 12:30. A text from Diane. "I made reservations at Le Pichet for Friday. Thought we could talk." Le Pichet. French. Expensive. A venue for negotiation. The reply was typed out slowly. "I have to work late Friday. Don't wait up." The phone went face down on the desk. For 3 weeks, the house became a shared workspace for 2 independent contractors. Politeness reigned. Questions about the day were asked and answered. Nods were exchanged regarding her sister's drama in Phoenix. Dishes were washed. The trash went out on Tuesdays. The loose hinge on the pantry door was tightened. But nothing else was offered. No hand on the small of her back when passing in the hallway. No lingering looks across the living room. No suggestions for date nights. No flowers on Friday. Treatment of her mirrored the professional courtesy extended to the receptionist at the firm. The dynamic shifted. At first, relief seemed to wash over her. The icy distance maintained to punish the kitchen refusal. She slept on her edge of the bed. The guest room became the primary residence. Dinner was cooked for one. Leftover chicken was eaten over the sink or takeout was consumed in the car. Then confusion set in. A Saturday dinner party at the Sullivans marked the turning point. The Sullivans lived 3 streets over. Their kitchen had been renovated 6 months ago. Marble waterfalls, brass fixtures, a range that looked like it belonged in a commercial bakery. Diane held court in the kitchen. She touched the counters, ran her hands over the brass taps, performing for the audience. "It's gorgeous, Sarah," Diane said, looking back. "Isn't it gorgeous, Caleb? It's very white." The scotch in the glass was neat, single malt. "We were thinking of doing something similar," Diane said, voice loud enough for the group to hear. "But Caleb is worried about the market." Mark Sullivan laughed. He worked in tech sales, wearing a vest that was too tight. "Market is always fluctuating, buddy. Can't take it with you. Happy wife, happy life, right?" Mark looked tired. Bags hung under his eyes. He was financing 2 cars in this renovation. His credit check had crossed the desk for a bridge loan 2 months ago. He was leveraged to the hilt, drowning in liquidity issues, smiling through the interest payments. "I prefer liquidity." Diane's smile tightened. She moved closer, sliding her arm through the crook of the elbow. A squeeze of the bicep, a public display of ownership, a signal to the room that they were a unit, that she had influence. "He's just being cautious," she cooed. She leaned in, breath hot on the ear. "Maybe we can discuss it later? I have that new lace set." The arm was pulled away, gently but firmly. A cracker was picked up from the tray. "I'm going to step outside with Mark. Ask him about the contractor's timeline." She was left standing by the $60,000 island. Her face flushed. The leverage was slipping. The public shaming hadn't worked. The promise of the lace set hadn't worked. The ride home was silent. Rain lashed against the windshield. The wipers slapped back and forth, a metronome counting down time. "You embarrass me," she said, finally. The car turned into the subdivision. I drank a scotch and ate a cracker. "You walked away from me. I wanted fresh air. You haven't touched me in a month, Caleb. Not once. People are noticing. People are noticing the kitchen counters, Diane. That's what you wanted them to notice. I want you to want me." The driveway appeared. Headlights cut through the dark, illuminating the closed garage door. The car was put in park. "You want the kitchen. The wanting me is the currency you use to get it. The exchange rate is too high." The door opened. The cold air rushed in. The breaker for the master bath tripped on a Friday evening. The garage was a sanctuary. The tool chest was being organized. Tools offered solace. Snap-on wrenches, organized sockets. They did exactly what they were designed to do. No negotiation. No moods. Her voice called from the top of the stairs. The house was dark. Hallway lights were off to save electricity. A new habit. The master bath was pitch black. The smell of ozone and burnt hair hung in the air. "It just popped," she said from the darkness. "Hydro. You had the space heater on, and the hairdryer, and the vanity lights. It overloaded the circuit. Can you fix it? I can't see anything." The panel in the hallway opened with a squeak. Breaker 14 was tripped, the orange flag showing. A flip off and on. A satisfying clack. Light flooded the hallway from the bathroom door. "Thanks." Turning back to the stairs was the only objective. "Caleb." The step halted. She stepped out of the bathroom. The towel lay on the floor behind her. It was a calculated move. A Hail Mary. She stood framed by the backlight, skin glowing, wet hair slicked back. She posed, one leg slightly forward, head tilted. "I really appreciate you fixing that," she said. Her voice was husky. Maybe I could thank you properly? Since the headache is gone." It was the reward, the transaction. The validation coin dropped into the slot to keep the machine running. The gaze held steady. A biological response was waited for. The surge of adrenaline. The heat. It didn't come. Standing there was a woman who had withheld affection for 3 weeks because of a kitchen appliance. A negotiation tactic stood in the doorway. The grim reality of the next 30 years came into focus. "Put a robe on, Diane. The hallway is drafty." Her smile faltered. It cracked like dry glaze. "What? I don't negotiate desire. If it's a transaction, I'm not interested. I'm not a John. You're not an escort. Or maybe you are, and I just stopped paying. How dare you?" She grabbed the towel from the floor, clutching it to her chest. "I am your wife. Then act like a partner, not a vendor. Why does intimacy only happen when you want something, or when you think I'm slipping away? Why is it payment for a renovated kitchen or a fixed fuse? That's not fair. I have needs. I have moods. You have a ledger. I checked the math. It doesn't add up anymore." The stairs descended. A gasp was heard, a sharp intake of air, followed by the slam of the bedroom door. In the kitchen, a sandwich was made. Ham and cheese, eaten standing up. The bread was dry. The meeting with the lawyer was on a Thursday. The afternoon was cleared. The secretary was told it was a dental appointment. Harrison's office was on the 40th floor. The view overlooked the sound. Ferries cut white lines across the gray water, carrying commuters to islands where houses cost 3 times what mine did. Harrison wore 3-piece suits and billed in 6-minute increments. A thick document slid across the mahogany table. "The prenuptial agreement is ironclad," Harrison said. He didn't smile. He tapped the paper. Title 26 Distinction. Separate property remains separate. The appreciation of assets during the marriage is the only variable. But since the portfolio was managed through your premarital trust, commingling is minimal. A nod acknowledged the statement. Signing it 7 years ago was a distinct memory. Diane had been offended then. She had cried in the lawyer's office, said it felt like planning for divorce before starting. The impulse to tear it up had been strong. Almost. But risk assessment was the profession. One doesn't drive a car without insurance just because one plans to drive safely. The house. Joint tenancy, Harrison said. "We force a sale or you buy her out. Given the current interest rates and the market cooling, a buyout is cleaner if you want to keep it. I don't want the house. It's too big. 3,500 square feet for 2 people who don't talk. Then we list it. 50-50 split on the equity. She gets half the furniture, half the joint checking. She gets nothing from the retirement accounts, nothing from the brokerage, nothing from the business interests. Alimony, short duration marriage, 7 years, no children. She has a master's degree she doesn't use. Rehabilitation support for 18 months max. We can offer a lump sum to settle it quickly. Draft the separation agreement. Offer the lump sum. I want a clean break." Harrison made a note on his pad. The pen scratched loudly. "You're sure? No counseling? No trial separation? The contract has been breached. There's no consideration left on the table. The goodwill value is 0. Very well. I'll have the papers served on Monday. No, I'll tell her. Have them ready for me to sign tomorrow." The elevator ride down took 40 seconds. The numbers counted down on the display. Packing began on Friday. Work ended at 3 p.m. A storage unit was rented that morning. 2 boxes of books and winter gear cleared out of the office were dropped off. Then the drive to the house. Diane was in the kitchen. A brochure for quartz countertops lay open on the island. She had circled a slab of white marble with gray veining. She looked up. The boxes from the garage, heavy-duty U-Haul boxes, were visible in my arms. "What are you doing?" "I'm moving to the apartment on 4th. The boxes hit the floor. Cookbooks were pulled off the shelf. The brochure slipped from her fingers. It hit the floor. "You're leaving?" "Over a kitchen." "No." The tape gun sealed the box. Zip. Snap. "I'm leaving because the price is too high. I'm not a customer anymore." "Caleb, stop. Stop it. We can talk about this. We can go upstairs. Right now." She moved forward. Her hand reached for the arm. Warmth radiated from her palm. Her eyes were desperate. The premium package was being offered. The vacation-level affection. A step back broke the proximity. "Don't. I love you," she said. It sounded like a question. "You love the lifestyle. You love the safety. You love the idea of the renovation. You don't love me. If I lost my job tomorrow, if the portfolio zeroed out, how long would you stay?" She didn't answer immediately. That was the answer. "The account for the household bills has 6 months of expenses in it. Harrison will contact you tomorrow regarding the sale of the house. I suggest you start decluttering. It shows better when it's empty." The box was lifted. The kitchen was viewed one last time. The perfectly functional stove. The solid counters. The space where she wanted to spend money possessed on things not needed to impress people not liked. "Caleb, please." Tears flow now. Tears that might have moved mountains 5 years ago. Now, they look like another line item in the negotiation. "Goodbye, Diane." The front door opened. The air outside was crisp, smelling of pine and wet asphalt. The rain had stopped. The trunk of the sedan swallowed the box. Clothes had been packed while she was at yoga. The toothbrush was already in the glove compartment. The driver's seat welcomed the wait. 5:15 p.m. The house remained in the rearview mirror, unacknowledged. The gear shift clicked into drive. The car pulled away. Absolute silence filled the cabin. It was the most valuable asset owned.
Thanks for listening.